"Sir, please, it's our last one. Mommy needs medicine." The plea comes from a small girl huddled with her two identical sisters against the biting wind. A wealthy man, Julian, distracted by an incoming call, almost walks past them. But something in her voice makes him stop and turn. He sees their desperate faces and the small, sad-looking Christmas tree. He reaches for his wallet, ready to give them some money and be on his way, but then his eyes freeze on a tiny, handmade charm on the girl's wrist. His heart stops. What he didn't know was that he wasn't just looking at three random children. He was looking into the eyes of the secret daughters of the woman he loved. But before we see what he does next that shocks everyone watching, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into the full story. "Buy our Christmas tree, sir. Mom hasn't eaten for 2 days." The words hung in the frigid December air, small clouds of breath forming with each syllable. Tommy Parker, just 10 years old, stood on the icy Chicago sidewalk looking up at the tall man in the expensive coat who had just stepped out of a black luxury car. Maxwell Grant glanced down, annoyed at being delayed. He was already running late for his dinner meeting. But something in the boy's eyes, a mix of desperation and determination, made him pause. "What did you say?" Maxwell asked, his voice softening. "Our mom," Tommy repeated, pointing to a thin woman sitting on a bench 20 feet away. "She gives us her food. Please buy our last tree." Maxwell looked beyond the boy to where two smaller children stood shivering beside a small cart. A little girl about 8 years old held the hand of a younger boy who couldn't have been more than 6. A handwritten sign propped against their cart read, "Christmas trees, $20. Please help our mom." "I'm sorry, kid. I don't need a Christmas tree," Maxwell said, reaching for his wallet. "But here's $20 anyway." Tommy shook his head. "We're not begging. We're selling. It's our last tree. We kept it for ourselves, but Mom said we need money more than Christmas." Maxwell studied the tree, small and slightly crooked. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't have given it a second glance. His penthouse was decorated by professionals with a perfectly symmetrical 12-foot tree that cost more than he cared to admit. "Tommy," the woman called from the bench, struggling to stand. "Leave the gentleman alone." As she approached, Maxwell noticed how she held herself with dignity despite her obvious exhaustion. Her coat was too thin for the bitter Chicago winter, and her face showed signs of someone who hadn't been sleeping well. "I'm sorry if my son bothered you," she said, placing protective hands on Tommy's shoulders. Maxwell looked at her face, and a flicker of recognition passed between them. "Jennifer? Jennifer Parker?" Maxwell asked. Her eyes widened. "Mr. Grant? Maxwell Grant? You two know each other?" Tommy asked, looking between them. "Ms. Parker designed my office 3 years ago," Maxwell explained, suddenly uncomfortable with the contrast between the successful businesswoman he remembered and the clearly struggling woman before him. Jennifer's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "That was a long time ago. Come on, kids. It's getting too cold, and we should head home." "But Mom, we haven't sold enough trees today," said the little girl, who Maxwell now realized was shivering badly. "It's okay, Lisa. We'll try again tomorrow," Jennifer said, her voice steady despite the desperation in her eyes. "I'll take the tree," Maxwell said suddenly. He pulled out his wallet and extracted 5 $20 bills. "Will $100 work?" The children's eyes widened, but Jennifer shook her head. "Mr. Grant, we don't need charity. The tree is only $20. "It's not charity," Maxwell replied. "I'm paying for quality and convenience. And this tree has character." Before Jennifer could argue further, Tommy took the money and handed Maxwell the small tree. "Thank you, sir. Do you have a way to get home? It's freezing out here. Let me give you all a ride," Maxwell offered, already signaling to his driver. "That's very kind, but we'll be fine," Jennifer said, gathering her children close. "We live nearby." "I insist," Maxwell said, opening the car door. "It's the least I can do for my former designer." After a moment of hesitation, Jennifer nodded, too tired to argue. The children climbed into the warm car eagerly, while Jennifer entered last, clearly uncomfortable. As the car pulled away from the curb, Maxwell noticed how the three children huddled together, their thin jackets providing little protection from the winter cold. Their small hands were red and chapped. "Where to?" Maxwell asked. Jennifer gave an address in one of Chicago's rougher neighborhoods. The car ride was mostly silent, with Jennifer staring out the window while the children marveled at the leather seats and heated interior. 20 minutes later, the car pulled up to a rundown apartment building. Maxwell felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature when he saw the condition of the place. "Thank you for the ride, Mr. Grant," Jennifer said quickly. "Children, say thank you." "Thank you," they chorused. "Let me help you with the money," Maxwell said, stepping out of the car despite Jennifer's protests. As they approached the building's entrance, Maxwell saw multiple eviction notices taped to Jennifer's door. She quickly pulled them down, stuffing them into her pocket. "Ms. Parker, Jennifer, is everything all right?" Maxwell asked quietly so the children couldn't hear. "We're managing," she said stiffly. "It's just been a difficult few months." "If you need any help, we don't need charity," Jennifer interrupted, her pride evident. "But thank you for buying our tree. It will make a difference." Maxwell nodded, respecting her boundary. "It was good seeing you again, Jennifer. Take care of yourself and these wonderful children." He returned to his car, instructing his driver to wait. Through the window, he watched Jennifer and her children enter the dilapidated building, troubled by what he'd witnessed. How had an accomplished interior designer ended up in such dire circumstances? His phone rang, his dinner appointment wondering where he was. "I need to cancel," Maxwell said. "Something important has come up." The next morning, Maxwell returned to Jennifer's building, determined to learn more about her situation. As he approached her door, he heard a child coughing violently inside. He knocked firmly. After a moment, Jennifer opened the door, looking even more exhausted than the day before. "Mr. Grant, what are you doing here?" "I wanted to check on you and the children," Maxwell said. "Is everyone okay?" Before Jennifer could answer, Lisa appeared behind her mother, her face flushed with fever. "Mom, my head hurts," she whimpered. Jennifer's face crumbled with worry as she lifted her daughter. "I know, sweetheart. We'll get you some medicine soon." "Do you have a doctor? Medicine?" Maxwell asked. Jennifer hesitated before answering. "We lost our health insurance. I've been giving her cool compresses, but her fever keeps rising." Maxwell looked around the small apartment, one room serving as bedroom, living room, and kitchen. The children's belongings were neatly organized, but the space was cold, and he could see more eviction notices on the counter. "Jennifer, let me help. I have a guest house sitting empty. You and your children can stay there while Lisa recovers. My housekeeper's husband is a doctor. He can check on her right away." "Mr. Grant, I appreciate the offer, but—" "Mom," Tommy interrupted, his young face serious beyond his years. "Lisa needs medicine. We don't have money for the clinic." Jennifer looked at her daughter's flushed face, then at the eviction notices. For the first time, Maxwell saw her composure break. "Just until Lisa gets better," she said quietly, "and then we'll find our own way." Maxwell nodded, relieved she had accepted. "Of course, my driver can take us now." As Jennifer packed a small bag with the children's essentials, Maxwell helped carry Lisa to the car. The little girl was burning with fever. "Thank you," Jennifer whispered as they settled Lisa in the back seat. "I don't know what else to do." "You're doing the right thing for your daughter," Maxwell assured her. "Everything else can be figured out later." As the car pulled away from the curb, Jennifer stared out the window at the building they were leaving behind. She had lost nearly everything over the past 2 years. Her business, her home, her savings. Now she was placing her trust in another wealthy, powerful man. Last time, that decision had cost her everything. But as Lisa coughed weakly in her arms, Jennifer knew she had no choice. This time, her children's lives hung in the balance. Jennifer carried Lisa through the grand entrance of Maxwell Grant's mansion, her arms trembling from exhaustion. The house was enormous, bigger than any place she had ever been in before. "The doctor will be here in 20 minutes, Maxwell said, leading them through a hallway lined with expensive artwork. "The guest house is just through the garden. It has everything you'll need." "This is where you live?" Mikey asked, his eyes wide as he looked up at the high ceilings. "It's just a house," Maxwell replied with a small smile. "Too big for one person, really." The guest house turned out to be larger than the apartment they had just left. It had 2 bedrooms, a fully stocked kitchen, and furniture that looked brand new. "The doctor can see Lisa in here," Maxwell said, showing them to a bedroom with a large, comfortable-looking bed. "I'll wait outside. Call if you need anything." After the doctor examined Lisa and left medicine for her fever, Jennifer tucked her daughter into bed. Tommy and Mikey were already exploring the guest house, opening cabinets and peeking into closets. "Mom, there's food in the kitchen," Tommy called out. Jennifer joined her sons in the kitchen, where she found the refrigerator and cabinets filled with groceries. "Mr. Grant said we can eat whatever we want," Mikey said, holding an apple. Jennifer sat down heavily at the kitchen table. "This is just temporary," she said, more to herself than to the boys, "just until Lisa gets better." The next morning, Lisa's fever was gone. Jennifer found her sitting in the living room with Mikey, watching cartoons on a television that was twice the size of their old one. "I feel better, Mom," Lisa said with a smile. Jennifer touched her daughter's forehead. Normal temperature. The medicine had worked quickly. A knock at the door interrupted their moment. When Jennifer opened it, she found a tall, elegant woman with perfectly styled blonde hair standing there. The woman's eyes moved slowly over Jennifer, taking in her worn clothes and tired appearance. "You must be the charity case Max mentioned," the woman said with a thin smile. "I'm Victoria Winters, Maxwell's girlfriend." "Jennifer Parker," Jennifer replied, feeling suddenly self-conscious. "Thank you for letting us stay here. We won't be imposing for long." Victoria stepped into the guest house without waiting for an invitation. Max has always had a soft spot for sad stories. He donates to at least 20 different charities. She looked around the room, her gaze stopping on the children. But he doesn't usually bring his projects home. Before Jennifer could respond, Maxwell appeared behind Victoria. "Victoria, I see you've met Jennifer and her children," he said, his voice neutral. "Yes, I was just welcoming them," Victoria replied, linking her arm through Maxwell's. "Darling, don't forget we have dinner with the Andersons tonight. 7 o'clock. After Victoria left, Maxwell turned to Jennifer with an apologetic look. "I'm sorry about that. Victoria can be direct." "It's fine," Jennifer said quickly. "Mr. Grant, we're very grateful, but Lisa is feeling better now. We should go back to our apartment." "Please call me Maxwell," he said, "and there's no rush. I was hoping you'd join us for dinner in the main house tonight." Dinner that night was uncomfortable. Victoria asked Jennifer questions about her situation while making comments about people who take advantage of kindness. The children ate quietly, sensing the tension. "So, Jennifer, what exactly happened to put you in this position?" Victoria asked, cutting into her steak. "Max said you used to be quite successful." Jennifer set down her fork. "I made a mistake. I trusted someone I shouldn't have." "Victoria, that's enough," Maxwell said firmly. After dinner, Jennifer spent hours on Maxwell's computer searching for jobs. Every listing seemed to require recent experience or references she no longer had. By morning, she had applied to 15 positions, but she wasn't hopeful. Over the next few days, Jennifer's fears proved correct. She attended 3 interviews, but each ended quickly when potential employers learned about her employment gap. "We need someone with continuous recent experience," one manager told her. "I'm sorry, "But there's a hole in your resume we can't overlook," said another. While Jennifer searched for work, Maxwell spent time with her children. Jennifer returned from an interview to find him helping Tommy with math homework at the kitchen table. "You're approaching this just like I did at your age," Maxwell was saying. "I struggled with fractions until my teacher showed me this trick." Tommy, who had been quiet and suspicious around Maxwell, was actively engaged, nodding as Maxwell explained the problem. Later that week, Jennifer saw Maxwell in the garden with Mikey, holding the back of a small bicycle as her son pedaled unsteadily. "Keep going. You're doing it," Maxwell encouraged as he slowly let go, and Mikey continued riding on his own for several feet before wobbling to a stop. "Mom, did you see me?" Mikey called out, his face lit up with excitement. "I did." "That was amazing," Jennifer replied, surprised by the lump in her throat. That evening, Jennifer overheard Maxwell and Tommy talking in the garden. "Did you grow up in a big house like this?" Tommy asked. Maxwell laughed. "Not even close. I grew up in South Chicago with my mom. Our apartment was smaller than your old place. Mom worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table." "Then how did you get all this?" Tommy asked. "Hard work, some luck, and a lot of help from people who believed in me," Maxwell replied. "Nobody does it alone, Tommy." Jennifer stepped back, not wanting them to know she'd been listening. This version of Maxwell, down to earth and honest, didn't match the cold businessman she'd expected him to be. The next day, Jennifer received devastating news. Her former landlord called to inform her that her old apartment had been rented to someone else. "But what about our things?" Jennifer asked, her voice shaking. "You were 3 months behind on rent, Ms. Parker. We had to clear the unit. Your belongings are in storage for 30 days. Then they'll be disposed of if the storage fee isn't paid." After hanging up, Jennifer sat on the edge of the bed and finally let the tears come. She had nowhere to go, no job prospects, and no way to care for her children. After everything she'd been through, after all her efforts to stay strong, she had failed completely. She didn't hear the door open, didn't know Maxwell was there until he spoke. "Jennifer? What's happened?" She quickly wiped her eyes, but it was too late. "Nothing. I'm fine." Maxwell sat beside her, leaving a respectful distance between them. "You don't have to pretend with me." The kindness in his voice broke the last of her resolve. "They rented our apartment to someone else. Our things are in storage. I have nowhere to take my children, and I can't find a job, and I don't know what to do anymore." Maxwell was quiet for a moment. "Let me help you restart your design business. I have connections, clients who would hire you based on my recommendation." Jennifer shook her head firmly. "No. I appreciate everything you've done for us, but I need to stand on my own. I can't be dependent on your charity." "It's not charity to help someone who's down on their luck," Maxwell said. "Everyone needs help sometimes." "Not me," Jennifer insisted. "I got myself into this mess, and I'll get myself out." Maxwell studied her for a moment, then nodded. "I respect that, but at least stay through the holidays. For the children's sake, give yourself time to figure out your next steps." Jennifer looked toward the window, where she could see her children playing in the garden. They looked happier than they had in months. "Just until after Christmas," she agreed reluctantly. What Jennifer didn't see was Victoria watching from the main house, her phone to her ear. "Yes, they're still here," Victoria said into the phone, "and it looks like they're staying through the holidays. I need your help to make sure this woman and her children are out of Maxwell's life for good." Victoria ended her phone call with a satisfied smile, already formulating her plan to remove Jennifer from Maxwell's life. Meanwhile, Jennifer stared out the window of the guest house, determined to find a way to support her family independently. The next morning, Jennifer left early. "I'll be back this afternoon," she told the children as she put on her coat. "Be good for Mr. Grant's housekeeper." Jennifer walked 6 blocks to the West Side Community Center, a brick building with colorful murals painted on its walls. A sign in the window read, "Volunteers needed." Inside, a woman with short gray hair was directing several people who were hanging decorations. "Can I help you?" the woman asked when she noticed Jennifer. "I saw the sign about volunteers," Jennifer said. "I have experience in design and organization." The woman smiled warmly. "Perfect timing. I'm Sarah Williams, the director here. We're preparing for our holiday event and could use someone with design skills." For the next 4 hours, Jennifer arranged decorations, created attractive displays, and organized the space for maximum effect. The physical work felt good after days of rejection. "This looks amazing," Sarah said when they finished. "You clearly have talent. Do you work in design?" "I used to," Jennifer replied. "I'm between jobs at the moment." Sarah studied her thoughtfully. "We have a part-time position coordinating events here. It doesn't pay much, but if you're interested." Jennifer's heart leaped. "Yes, I'm interested. Very interested." At Maxwell's office downtown, a different conversation was taking place. Maxwell sat at his desk, staring at his computer screen. "Charles Hartman," he muttered, typing the name into a search engine. His assistant knocked on the door. "Mr. Grant, your 2 o'clock is here." "Cancel it," Maxwell said, not looking up. "And get me everything you can find on a man named Charles Hartman. Focus on fraud cases and financial schemes involving women." Later that evening, Maxwell returned home with a thick file folder. He found Tommy sitting alone on the steps of the guest house. "Everything okay?" Maxwell asked, sitting down beside him. Tommy shrugged. "Mom got a job." "Sort of. It doesn't pay much." "That's good news though, right?" "I guess." Tommy kicked at a pebble. "She's happy about it." Maxwell nodded. "Your mom seems like someone who likes to work. She used to work all the time. She was really good at her job." Tommy looked up at Maxwell. "People paid her a lot of money to make their houses look nice." Maxwell smiled. "I know. She designed my office 3 years ago. Everyone still compliments it." Tommy's expression softened slightly. "Lisa and Mikey like you. What about you? What do you think of me?" Tommy was quiet for a moment. "You're okay, I guess. For a rich guy." Maxwell laughed. "I'll take that as a compliment." Over the next week, Jennifer settled into her part-time work at the community center while continuing her job search. Each day, she noticed Tommy becoming less withdrawn around Maxwell. One evening, she came home to find Maxwell and her children playing a board game in the living room. Lisa and Mikey were laughing, and even Tommy was smiling. "Mom," Lisa called, "Mr. Maxwell is losing badly." "It's true," Maxwell admitted with a grin. "Your children are ruthless competitors." Jennifer felt a strange tightness in her chest watching them together. It had been so long since she'd seen her children this happy. Later that night, after the children were asleep, Tommy knocked on Maxwell's office door. "Mr. Maxwell, can I show you something?" Maxwell closed the file he was reading. "Of course, Tommy. Come in." Tommy held out a small notebook. "I keep track of all our debts," he explained. "Everything we owe." Maxwell took the notebook carefully. Each page contained neat columns of numbers and names. The last page had Maxwell's name at the top, with a precise calculation of what Tommy believed they owed him. "You don't owe me anything, Tommy," Maxwell said gently. "Yes, we do. Mom says we need to pay our own way. That's why she took the job, even though it doesn't pay much." Maxwell thought for a moment. What if we worked together on a project? Something to help your mom? Tommy looked interested. What kind of project? Your mom needs to rebuild her design business, right? She needs a portfolio to show potential clients. We could collect photos of spaces she designed before. Tommy's eyes widened. We could make her a website. I learned about websites in school. Exactly, Maxwell agreed. We could contact her former clients and ask for photos. It would be a surprise. For the first time, Tommy smiled directly at Maxwell. Let's do it. The next day, Victoria arrived at the main house unannounced, bringing 3 friends for tea. Jennifer was crossing the garden when Victoria spotted her. "Jennifer, come meet my friends," Victoria called, her voice falsely sweet. "Ladies, this is the woman Max has taken in. Isn't he generous?" Jennifer reluctantly approached the patio where the women sat. "This is Diane, Elaine, and Patricia," Victoria said. "I was just telling them about your situation." "How wonderful of Maxwell to help you," Diane said, examining Jennifer from head to toe. "Victoria says you were quite successful before you lost everything." "The job market is so difficult these days," Elaine added, "especially for someone with gaps in their resume." Jennifer felt her face grow hot. "Excuse me, I need to check on my children." As she walked away, she heard Victoria say, "Poor thing, so dependent on Max's charity." That evening, Jennifer overheard Victoria and Maxwell talking in the kitchen of the main house. "She's using you, Max," Victoria was saying. "She and those children are manipulating you. It's what people like that do." "People like what, exactly?" Maxwell's voice was cold. "You know what I mean. People who take advantage of kindness. You've given them a place to stay, food, everything, and now she'll never leave." Jennifer had heard enough. She returned to the guest house and began packing their few belongings. They would leave immediately, even if they had nowhere to go. She was zipping the last bag when Maxwell knocked on the door. "Jennifer, can we talk?" "There's nothing to talk about," Jennifer said, not meeting his eyes. "We're leaving. I heard what Victoria said, and she's right. We've taken advantage of your generosity for too long." Maxwell saw the packed bags. "Where will you go?" "We'll figure it out. We always do." "This is ridiculous," Maxwell said. "You have a job now. You're getting back on your feet. Why leave?" "Because I won't be someone's charity case." Jennifer's voice broke. "I won't have my children hearing they're manipulating you." "Victoria was wrong," Maxwell said firmly, "and I told her so." Jennifer looked up, surprised. "In fact," Maxwell continued, "I told Victoria that if she couldn't respect you and your children, she shouldn't come back here. You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. Victoria gave me an ultimatum. You or her." Maxwell shrugged. "It wasn't even a difficult choice." Jennifer stared at him. "You broke up with your girlfriend because of us? I broke up with her because she revealed herself to be someone I don't want in my life." Maxwell gestured to the bags. "Now, will you please unpack? It's getting late, and Tommy tells me you have an early shift at the community center tomorrow." Jennifer sat down slowly. "I don't understand why you're doing all this for us." Maxwell sat beside her. "Because everyone deserves a second chance, and because—" he hesitated, "because I enjoy having you and your children here." The house felt empty before. For the first time in years, Jennifer felt safe enough to be completely honest. Charles seemed perfect at first. He was charming, successful, attentive. He made me feel special. Maxwell listened quietly as Jennifer described how Charles had gradually taken control of her finances, isolated her from friends, and made her doubt her own judgment. "The worst part wasn't losing the money," Jennifer said. "It was feeling so stupid. How could I not have seen what he was doing?" "Because con men like Charles Hartman are professionals," Maxwell said. "They know exactly what to say and do." Jennifer wiped away a tear. "Thank you. For listening, for helping us, for defending us to Victoria." "You're welcome," Maxwell replied simply. "Now, should I help you unpack?" Jennifer smiled and shook her head. "I can manage. Good night, Maxwell." After Jennifer left, Maxwell returned to his office and opened his laptop. On the screen was a photograph of Charles Hartman, now using the name Richard Cooper, standing beside an elegant older woman in Boston. The woman was wearing an engagement ring. Maxwell picked up his phone and dialed. "This is Maxwell Grant. I need your best private investigator. It's urgent." The private investigator arrived at Maxwell's office the next morning. He was a short man with gray hair and sharp eyes named Frank Miller. "What can I do for you, Mr. Grant?" Frank asked, accepting the folder Maxwell handed him. "I need everything you can find on this man," Maxwell said, pointing to the photo of Charles Hartman with his new fiancée. "He's calling himself Richard Cooper now. He's in Boston with Eleanor Blackwell, the owner of Blackwell Publishing. Frank studied the picture. What's he done? He's a con man who targets successful women, gains their trust, then steals everything they have. Maxwell tapped the folder. He destroyed the life of someone I care about. Now he's doing it again. Frank nodded. I'll fly to Boston today. You'll have preliminary information in 48 hours. After the investigator left, Maxwell's assistant entered with more files. Sir, I found records on 7 women who filed complaints against someone matching Hartman's description. Different names each time. Maxwell opened the first file. Send copies of everything to Frank Miller and book me a flight to Boston for next week. I want to be ready to move when we have solid evidence. At the community center, Jennifer was helping a young woman fill out housing assistance forms. I don't know what I would have done without your help, the woman said gratefully. The landlord gave me 5 days to come up with rent. Have you applied for the emergency assistance program? Jennifer asked, pulling out another form. It might cover next month while you look for work. Sarah Williams, the center director, watched from the doorway. When the young mother left, Sarah approached Jennifer. You're really good at this, she said. How would you feel about starting an informal support group for single mothers in crisis? Many women who come here face situations similar to yours. Jennifer hesitated. I'm not sure I'm qualified. You've lived it, Sarah replied. Sometimes that's the best qualification. The following week, Jennifer held her first meeting. 6 women attended, each with a different story but the same underlying fears. How will I feed my children? Where will we live? Who can I trust? I lost everything 2 years ago, Jennifer told the group. My business, my home, my savings. I'm still rebuilding, but I've learned some things that might help you. As Jennifer shared practical advice on assistance programs, budget management, and rebuilding credit, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years: confidence. For the first time since Charles betrayed her, she wasn't defined by what she had lost. Back at Maxwell's house, the children were settling into a routine. Tommy worked with a tutor Maxwell had hired, rapidly catching up on the schoolwork he'd missed. He's extraordinarily gifted in mathematics, the tutor told Maxwell after one session. With the right guidance, he could earn a scholarship to any university. Lisa joined a children's choir that practiced at the community center. Her sweet soprano voice earned her a solo in their upcoming holiday concert. Mikey, now riding his bike confidently, had made friends with the gardener's grandson. The 2 boys spent hours playing in the expansive grounds of Maxwell's estate. Jennifer watched these developments with mixed emotions. One evening, as she tucked Tommy into bed, he asked the question that had been worrying her. Mom, when we move out, will we still see Maxwell? Jennifer smoothed his hair. I don't know, honey. Mr. Grant is very busy, but he likes us, Tommy insisted. And we like him. We can't stay here forever, Jennifer said gently. This isn't our home. Why not? Tommy asked. Is it because of what that mean Lady Victoria said? Jennifer sighed. No, it's because we need to stand on our own. Meanwhile, Maxwell received his first report from Frank Miller. The information was disturbing. Hartman, or Cooper, as he's calling himself now, has done this at least 12 times that I can document, Frank explained over the phone. He's engaged to Eleanor Blackwell, who's worth approximately $50 million. The wedding is scheduled in 3 weeks. Have you found any evidence that would convince Eleanor of what he's doing? Maxwell asked. Not yet, but I'm close. He's been siphoning small amounts from her accounts already, testing the waters. Jennifer's birthday arrived on a cold Tuesday in December. She expected it to pass unnoticed like last year when she couldn't even afford a cupcake to celebrate. She returned from the community center to find the guest house dark. Pushing open the door, she was startled when the lights suddenly came on. Surprise! Tommy, Lisa, and Mikey shouted. They stood around a small cake with lit candles. Happy birthday, Mom! Lisa said, running to hug her. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. How did you know? I remembered from last year, Tommy said proudly, and Maxwell helped us make a cake. Maxwell stood in the doorway, looking slightly embarrassed. The children did most of the work. I just supervised the oven. After cake and homemade cards from the children, Maxwell handed Jennifer a small wrapped package. "This is from Tommy and me," he said. Inside was a printed card with a website address. Curious, Jennifer used her phone to visit the site. The screen filled with professional photographs of office spaces, homes, and shops. All places Jennifer had designed before everything fell apart. "It's your portfolio," Tommy explained excitedly. "We contacted your old clients and asked for pictures. Now you can show people your work." Jennifer stared at the screen, speechless. The site was beautiful, showcasing her best designs with testimonials from satisfied clients. "How did you do this?" she finally asked. "Tommy had the idea," Maxwell said. "He had all your clients' names in his notebook. I just helped with the technical parts." Jennifer hugged Tommy tightly, then turned to Maxwell. "Thank you. This is the most thoughtful gift I've ever received." The next morning, Jennifer's phone rang with an unknown number. "Is this Jennifer Parker?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes, speaking." "This is Carol Weber from the Chicago Tribune. I'm working on a story about women who use their children to gain sympathy from wealthy men. Victoria Winters suggested you'd be an excellent subject for my piece." Jennifer's hand tightened around the phone. "Excuse me? Miss, Winters described how you and your children have been living with Maxwell Grant and how you've manipulated his generosity. Would you care to comment?" "Yes, I would," Jennifer said, her voice shaking with anger. "Victoria Winters is spreading lies because Maxwell ended their relationship. That's your real story." That evening, Jennifer attended a charity gala at the Chicago Art Museum with Sarah Williams. The event raised money for community centers across the city. Jennifer wore a borrowed dress and tried to stay in the background. She was studying a painting when she heard Victoria's voice behind her. "Well, if it isn't the charity case herself," Victoria said loudly. Several people nearby turned to look. Jennifer turned slowly. "Hello, Victoria. I'm surprised Maxwell let you out without supervision," Victoria continued. "Or are your children here too, ready to beg for donations?" Jennifer felt heat rising to her face. "My children have never begged for anything." Victoria laughed, drawing more attention. "Please, that's exactly how you got Maxwell's attention, your little street urchin selling Christmas trees." Something inside Jennifer snapped. "My children were selling trees because I was too sick to work. Because a man like your precious Richard stole everything from me. My children have more dignity and courage than you will ever understand." Victoria's eyes widened. "How dare you speak to me like that? Do you know who I am in this city?" "I know exactly who you are," Jennifer replied. "You're a woman so insecure that she needs to destroy others to feel important." A circle had formed around them. Victoria looked at the watching crowd and saw her opportunity. "Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Jennifer Parker, a failed designer who has found a new career, professional victim. She's currently living off Maxwell Grant's charity while pretending to be independent." A deep voice cut through the murmurs. "That's enough, Victoria." Maxwell stepped through the crowd, his face hard with anger. "Maxwell, I was just explaining," Victoria began. "I heard what you were explaining," Maxwell interrupted. He turned to the onlookers. "Jennifer Parker is rebuilding her life after being victimized by a professional con artist. She works at the Westside Community Center helping other women in crisis. She's the most resilient person I know." He offered his arm to Jennifer. "Shall we get some air?" As they walked away, Jennifer could feel Victoria's furious gaze following them. "You didn't need to do that," Jennifer said when they reached a quiet balcony. "Yes, I did," Maxwell replied. "Victoria needs to understand that her behavior has consequences." Jennifer took a deep breath of the cold night air. "Thank you. Again. You keep saving me." "You're saving yourself," Maxwell said. "I'm just clearing some obstacles." Maxwell's phone buzzed. He read the message and his face turned serious. "What is it?" Jennifer asked. "Charles Hartman isn't just engaged to Eleanor Blackwell," Maxwell said grimly. "He's marrying her in 3 days. Once they're married, he'll have access to her entire fortune." Jennifer stared at Maxwell, processing what he had just said about Charles marrying Eleanor Blackwell in 3 days. "We have to stop him," Maxwell said, pocketing his phone. "I need to fly to Boston tomorrow." "We?" Jennifer's voice trembled. "You want me to go to Boston?" Maxwell noticed her panicked expression. "You could help convince Eleanor." She might believe another woman who experienced the same thing. Jennifer shook her head violently. "No, I can't face him." "Jennifer, you don't understand." Her hands were shaking now. "Just seeing him." "I can't do it." Maxwell guided her to a bench on the balcony. "Talk to me. Help me understand." Jennifer took several deep breaths, trying to control her racing heart. "It wasn't just the money he took," she finally said. "It was everything. When we first met, he was perfect. He listened. He cared. He made me feel special after years of being alone." Maxwell sat quietly, letting her continue at her own pace. Then it changed slowly. If I questioned anything about our finances, he'd say I was being paranoid. If friends expressed concern, he'd tell me they were jealous of our happiness. He separated me from everyone who cared about me. Her voice dropped to a whisper. By the end, I didn't trust my own judgment anymore. When he disappeared with everything, part of me still believed it was my fault for not being good enough. Maxwell's expression darkened. That's how these predators work. They destroy your trust in yourself. I'm not strong enough to face him, Jennifer admitted. Seeing him again would undo all the progress I've made. Maxwell nodded. I understand. You don't have to go. I'll handle it. Early the next morning, Maxwell boarded his private plane to Boston. He had a folder of evidence about Charles Hartman's previous victims and a determination to prevent another woman from suffering like Jennifer. At home, Jennifer tried to focus on work, but her thoughts kept returning to Boston. What if Charles convinced Eleanor not to believe Maxwell? What if he was too late? Tommy found her staring at her computer screen, lost in thought. Mom, are you okay? Jennifer forced a smile. I'm fine, honey. Just thinking. About the bad man? The one who took our money? Jennifer was startled. How do you know about that? Tommy shrugged. I hear things. And I found this. He pulled a folded newspaper article from his pocket. It was in Maxwell's office when we were working on your website. Jennifer took the yellowing paper. The headline read, Local woman loses retirement savings to smooth-talking investor. The article was 15 years old. The victim was Elizabeth Grant, Maxwell's mother. In Boston, Maxwell's driver took him directly to Blackwell Publishing's headquarters. The modern glass building housed one of the most successful independent publishing companies in the country. I need to see Eleanor Blackwell, Maxwell told the receptionist. It's urgent. Tell her Maxwell Grant is here. 10 minutes later, Maxwell was escorted to a corner office with sweeping views of Boston Harbor. Eleanor Blackwell was an elegant woman in her early 60s with silver hair and intelligent eyes. Maxwell Grant, she said, extending her hand. This is an unexpected pleasure. Are you interested in publishing a memoir? Many successful CEOs are these days. No, Ms. Blackwell, I'm here about Richard Cooper. Eleanor's smile faltered. My fiancé? What about him? He's not who you think he is. Maxwell placed the folder on her desk. His real name is Charles Hartman. He's a con artist who targets successful women. Eleanor's face hardened. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Grant. Richard and I are getting married in 3 days. I know. That's why I came immediately. Maxwell opened the folder. These are records of 8 women he's done this to before. Different names each time, same pattern. Eleanor barely glanced at the papers. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, but Richard has been completely transparent with me. We have a prenuptial agreement that protects my assets. Does the agreement prevent him from accessing your accounts once you're married? Maxwell asked. Eleanor hesitated. Well, no. We're combining our finances. Richard has substantial investments of his own. No, he doesn't, Maxwell said gently. It's all fabricated. He creates fake investment portfolios. Check them independently. You'll find they don't exist. This is absurd. I've known Richard for nearly a year. We're in love. Maxwell pulled out one final document. This is Jennifer Parker. She was his victim 2 years ago in Chicago. She lost everything, her design business, her home, her savings. She's still recovering. Eleanor took Jennifer's photo, studying it. She's very young. She has 3 children. After Charles left, they were homeless. Last month, her kids were selling Christmas trees on the street to buy food. Something flickered in Eleanor's eyes. Doubt. Just verify his background independently, Maxwell urged. That's all I ask. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize to you both at the wedding. Back in Chicago, Jennifer called Maxwell's phone repeatedly, but he didn't answer. She paced the guest house, too anxious to sit still. When her phone finally rang, it wasn't Maxwell, but an unknown Boston number. Hello? Is this Jennifer Parker? A woman's voice asked. Yes. Who's calling? This is Eleanor Blackwell. Maxwell Grant gave me your number. I need to know about Charles Hartman. Jennifer sank into a chair. What do you want to know? Everything, Eleanor said firmly. I need to know everything. For the next hour, Jennifer detailed her experience with Charles, the whirlwind romance, the gradual isolation, the financial manipulation, and the devastating aftermath. Did you check his investment records independently? Jennifer asked. No, Eleanor admitted. He said his financial advisor handled everything. There is no advisor, Jennifer said. There are no investments. It's all lies. By the time they hung up, Eleanor was convinced. Thank you, Jennifer. You've saved me from making a terrible mistake. That evening, at the rehearsal dinner for her wedding, Eleanor confronted Charles with evidence she had gathered after speaking with Jennifer. She recorded the entire conversation on her phone. Charles, realizing he had been exposed, fled the restaurant before security could stop him. By the time police arrived, he had disappeared. Maxwell called Jennifer from his Boston hotel room. It worked. Eleanor canceled the wedding. Charles ran, but the police are looking for him. Will they find him? I don't know. He's good at disappearing, but at least Eleanor is safe. When Maxwell returned to Chicago the next day, he found Jennifer waiting for him in his office. I found this, she said, placing the old newspaper article about his mother on his desk. Maxwell picked it up, his expression solemn. I wondered if you'd find out. Why didn't you tell me? Your mother was conned too. Maxwell sat heavily in his chair. Yes, 15 years ago. A man named James Wilson. He was probably the same person as your Charles. Mom was a nurse who had saved her entire life. He took everything. What happened to her? She never recovered, financially or emotionally. She blamed herself completely. She died 5 years ago, still believing she had failed me by losing the money for my education. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. That's why you helped us. Why you're hunting Charles. Partly, Maxwell admitted, but mostly because I couldn't stand seeing history repeat itself. Your children reminded me of myself at their age, watching my mother suffer after being betrayed. Jennifer reached across the desk and took his hand. Thank you for telling me. And thank you for saving Eleanor from the same fate. You saved Eleanor, Maxwell corrected her. Your willingness to share your story convinced her when my evidence didn't. That night, Jennifer slept fitfully. In her dreams, she was back in her old life with Charles. He was smiling at her, but his eyes were cold. Did you really think you could get away from me, Jenny? Dream Charles asked. Nobody makes a fool of me. Jennifer woke with a gasp, her heart pounding. The bedroom was dark and quiet, but she couldn't shake the feeling of dread. Her phone lit up on the bedside table. A new text message had arrived while she slept. She opened it, then froze in terror. The message was from an unknown number. "Did you think I wouldn't find out what you did? Nobody takes my future from me, Jenny. I'll see you soon." Jennifer stared at the text message, her hands shaking so badly she nearly dropped the phone. She threw on her robe and hurried through the dark house to Maxwell's room. She knocked urgently. "Maxwell! Wake up!" The door opened moments later. Maxwell appeared, alert despite the late hour. "Jennifer? What's wrong?" She thrust the phone toward him. "It's Charles. He knows. He's threatening me." Maxwell read the message, his expression hardening. "When did this come?" "Just now. I woke up and saw it." Jennifer wrapped her arms around herself. "He's coming for me." "No, he's not." Maxwell's voice was firm. "Let me make some calls." Within an hour, 2 police officers sat in Maxwell's living room. Officer Rivera, a woman with a kind but serious face, examined Jennifer's phone. "Unfortunately, Miss Parker, this message doesn't contain a specific enough threat for us to take action," she explained. "He doesn't say he's going to hurt you." "But it's clearly threatening," Maxwell argued. Officer Chen, her partner, nodded. "We agree, sir, but the law requires more specific language to act. We'll document this, but there's not much else we can do right now." After the police left, Maxwell called his head of security. "I need the system upgraded immediately. More cameras, more guards. Have someone here by morning." Jennifer paced the living room. "This is exactly what I was afraid of. Now he's coming after you too because you helped me." "Let him try," Maxwell said. "No. You don't understand how dangerous he is." Jennifer's voice broke. "We need to leave. My children and I should never have stayed this long." Maxwell stepped closer. "Jennifer, listen to me. You're safer here than anywhere else. Charles wants you to run scared. Don't give him that power." The next morning, security technicians arrived to install additional cameras around Maxwell's property. 2 security guards now patrolled the grounds continuously. Jennifer watched the installation from the guest house window. Instead of feeling safer, she felt trapped. Tommy appeared beside her. "Mom, why are there more security people?" Jennifer hesitated. "Just a precaution." "Is it because of him? The man who took our money?" Jennifer knelt to look her son in the eyes. "Yes, honey, but you don't need to worry. We're safe here." Tommy's face became serious. "Is he trying to hurt you?" "No, he's just angry." Jennifer forced a smile. "Everything will be fine." But as the day progressed, Jennifer's fear transformed into something unexpected: determination. While the children were at school, she created a social media group called Survivors of Charles Hartman. She posted, "I'm gathering information from all women who were victimized by Charles Hartman, also known as Richard Cooper, James Wilson, and other aliases. Together, we can build a stronger case." Within hours, 5 women had joined. By evening, the number had grown to 12. They shared stories, evidence, and financial records, creating a comprehensive picture of Charles's crimes across multiple states. One member wrote, "I thought I was alone. I was too ashamed to tell anyone what happened." "That's exactly what he wants," Jennifer replied. "Our shame keeps us silent. Our silence protects him." At the community center the next day, Sarah found Jennifer creating handouts for a new workshop. "What's this?" Sarah asked, examining the papers. "A financial independence workshop," Jennifer explained. "It teaches women how to protect themselves from financial abuse and recognize manipulation tactics." Sarah looked impressed. "This is exactly what we need. How soon can you start it? Next week? I already have 6 women interested." Sarah sat across from Jennifer. "I've been meaning to talk to you about something. The center's received additional funding for next year. I'd like to offer you a full-time position as program director. The salary would be enough for you to rent an apartment in a safe neighborhood." Jennifer's eyes widened. "Really? A full-time position?" "You've proven yourself invaluable here," Sarah said. We need someone who understands what our clients are going through. Yes, I accept. Thank you so much. That evening, Jennifer browsed apartment listings online, excitement building as she realized independence was finally within reach. Maxwell entered with 2 cups of coffee. You look happy. Sarah offered me a full-time position at the center, Jennifer said, accepting the coffee. I can afford an apartment now. I found several in good neighborhoods near good schools. Maxwell's smile didn't reach his eyes. That's wonderful news. You don't seem excited. I am, for you. Maxwell hesitated. I just want to make sure you're safe. Charles is still out there. And he always will be until the police catch him. I can't hide forever. Before Maxwell could respond, his phone buzzed. He read the message, his expression darkening. What is it? Jennifer asked. Security footage from my office building downtown. Charles was spotted watching the entrance this morning. Jennifer's stomach tightened. He's here, in Chicago. The police have been notified, but they still can't do anything, Jennifer finished. I know. The following afternoon, Lisa had choir practice at the community center. Jennifer usually picked her up, but she was running late due to a meeting. Lisa waited by the entrance, her sheet music clutched to her chest. A man approached, tall and handsome, with dark hair and a friendly smile. You must be Lisa, he said warmly. I'm Richard, Emily's dad. Emily just joined the choir. Lisa smiled politely. Nice to meet you. Your mother asked me to give you a message. She's running late. He handed Lisa a sealed envelope. Can you make sure she gets this? Lisa took the envelope. Okay. That's a good girl. Don't forget. It's important. He smiled again and walked away. When Jennifer arrived 10 minutes later, Lisa handed her the envelope. A man gave me this. Emily's dad. Jennifer opened it, then froze. Inside was a note written in familiar handwriting. Jenny, you cost me $50 million in Boston. Your children are beautiful. Tommy looks just like you. Lisa has such a lovely voice. Little Mikey rides his bike so well now. We should talk about how you're going to make this right. Come alone. Or next time I'll do more than just watch your children. Jennifer crumpled the note, fighting back nausea. Lisa, what did this man look like? After Lisa described him, Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed her daughter a photo. Was this him? Jennifer asked, her heart pounding. Lisa nodded. Yes, that's Emily's dad. Lisa, listen to me carefully. That man is not Emily's dad. He's a very bad person who once hurt our family. If you ever see him again, run away and find an adult you trust immediately. Back at Maxwell's house, Jennifer showed him the note, her hands trembling. He approached my daughter, my 8-year-old daughter. Jennifer's voice rose with panic and rage. This ends now. Maxwell paced the room. I'll handle this myself. I'll find him. No. Jennifer's voice was firm. We do this legally. We take this note to the police. It's a clear threat now. The legal system moves too slowly, Maxwell argued. He could hurt you or the children before. And what's your plan? To beat him up? Have him disappear? That's not who you are, Maxwell. Maxwell stopped pacing. You're right. I'm just worried about you. All of you. They took the note to the police station where Officer Rivera agreed it constituted a direct threat. We can get a restraining order immediately, she said, and this gives us cause to actively look for him. We'll increase patrols in your area and near the children's schools and the community center. On the drive home, Jennifer made a decision. I'm done hiding, she told Maxwell. Charles uses secrecy and shame to control his victims. I'm going to take that power away from him. The next morning, Jennifer called Carol Weber, the reporter from the Chicago Tribune who had contacted her earlier about Victoria's false story. I'd like to give you an exclusive interview, Jennifer said, about Charles Hartman and his schemes. I have 12 other victims willing to share their stories too. 3 days later, Jennifer's story appeared on the front page of the Sunday edition. The headline read, Con Man's Victims Speak Out, How Charles Hartman Preys on Successful Women. The article detailed Charles's methods, included photos of him under various aliases, and warned readers about his current appearance. Jennifer was quoted extensively, her story of loss and gradual recovery serving as the article's emotional core. "I'm speaking out not just for myself, but for every woman who has been manipulated, gaslighted, and defrauded by predators like Charles Hartman," Jennifer stated in the article. "Our silence protects them. Our shame gives them power. I'm not ashamed anymore." By Monday morning, Jennifer's phone wouldn't stop ringing. 3 more victims had come forward after reading the article. One was the daughter of Linda Hawkins, a state prosecutor. "My mother will make this case her personal mission," the daughter told Jennifer. "Charles Hartman is going to regret the day he ever heard your name." Linda Hawkins, the state prosecutor, called Jennifer personally that afternoon. "Ms. Parker, I read your story in the Tribune," she said. "My daughter Caroline was one of Charles Hartman's victims. He called himself David Wilson when he targeted her." "I'm so sorry," Jennifer replied. "Caroline has joined our survivor group online." "Yes, and I'm grateful for the support you're providing." Linda's voice became determined. "But I want you to know that I'm opening a formal investigation. This isn't just about what he did to my daughter anymore. This is about all of you." Jennifer's story quickly spread beyond Chicago. By Wednesday, she appeared on the local morning news program. "Charles Hartman is still out there," Jennifer said directly to the camera. "He preys on successful women. He's charming, attentive, and completely false. If you've been victimized by this man, please contact the Chicago police." The next day, Jennifer received a call from a national morning show in New York. "We'd like to fly you here for an interview," the producer said. "Your story has touched a nerve. Financial abuse is rarely discussed openly." Within a week, what had started as Jennifer's personal mission had become a media sensation. Women from 5 different states came forward with similar stories about Charles. Maxwell watched Jennifer's television appearance from his office, feeling both proud and concerned. "She's incredibly brave," his assistant remarked. "Yes, she is," Maxwell agreed. "But Charles Hartman is unpredictable. I'm worried about how he'll react to all this exposure." That afternoon, an FBI agent named Rebecca Torres arrived at Maxwell's home to speak with Jennifer. "The Bureau has opened an interstate fraud investigation," Agent Torres explained. She was a serious woman with dark hair pulled back in a neat bun. "Charles Hartman has crossed state lines repeatedly while committing these crimes. That makes it federal." "Will you be able to find him?" Jennifer asked. Agent Torres nodded. "We have resources local police don't. And thanks to your media appearances, we have tips coming in from across the country. My security team reports that Charles checked out of his hotel yesterday," Maxwell added. "He's gone underground." "Not surprising," Agent Torres said, "but it won't help him. His photo is everywhere now." Later that evening, Sarah Williams called Jennifer with good news. "The board approved your salary," she said. "You can start full-time next Monday." "That's wonderful!" Jennifer exclaimed. "I've been looking at apartments near the center. There's one available in Oak Park. It's small, but in a safe neighborhood with good schools." "When will you move?" Sarah asked. "I've scheduled a viewing for tomorrow. If it's suitable, we could move in 2 weeks." After hanging up, Jennifer gathered her children in the living room. "I have exciting news," she said. "I got a full-time job at the community center. We'll be able to move into our own apartment soon." The children's reactions varied widely. Tommy nodded with serious approval. Mikey's face crumpled as he began to cry. Lisa looked confused. "But I like it here," she said. "Can't we stay?" "This isn't our home, sweetie," Jennifer explained gently. "We always knew we would move eventually." "Will Maxwell come with us?" Lisa asked. Jennifer was caught off guard by the question. "No, honey. Maxwell lives here. This is his house." "But we'll still see him, right?" Tommy asked, trying to sound casual. Jennifer hesitated. "Of course we'll still see him sometimes." But as she said it, Jennifer realized she hadn't actually discussed this with Maxwell. They had grown close, but once she moved out, Would their relationship change? The children had clearly become attached to him. If she was honest with herself, so had she. The next day, Jennifer viewed the apartment with a rental agent. It was on the second floor of a well-maintained building with 2 bedrooms, a small living room, and a kitchen with outdated but functional appliances. "It's perfect," Jennifer told the agent. "When can we move in?" "The 15th of the month. It's yours if you want it." Jennifer signed the rental agreement on the spot, feeling a mixture of pride and anxiety. After 2 years of struggle, she was finally standing on her own again. When Maxwell heard about the apartment, he insisted on helping her furnish it. "The children need beds," he said, "and you'll need a dining table, chairs, a couch." "Maxwell," Jennifer interrupted, "I appreciate the offer, but I can manage. At least let me help with the moving costs and storage fees for your things." Jennifer reluctantly agreed, knowing she couldn't afford to retrieve her possessions from storage by herself. They spent Saturday shopping for basic furniture. Maxwell was quieter than usual, and Jennifer caught him watching the children with a sad expression when he thought no one was looking. "They're going to miss you," Jennifer said quietly as Tommy helped Mikey try out a bunk bed. "I'll miss them too," Maxwell admitted. "And you." There was so much left unsaid between them. Jennifer changed the subject. "The financial literacy program for teenagers starts next week at the center. We already have 15 kids signed up." "That's great," Maxwell said, his enthusiasm sounding forced. "Will it be part of your new full-time position?" "Yes, along with the support group and individual counseling sessions." As they left the furniture store, Jennifer thought she saw a familiar figure watching them from across the street. By the time she turned to look directly, the person was gone. The following Tuesday, Jennifer was teaching her financial literacy workshop at the community center. 20 teenagers sat in rows listening as she explained basic banking concepts. "A credit score is like your financial reputation," she was saying. "It takes time to build a good one, but you can damage it quickly with poor decisions." Movement by the window caught her attention. A man stood outside, partially hidden by a tree. Even from a distance, Jennifer recognized Charles. She faltered mid-sentence, then quickly recovered. "Let's take a 5-minute break. When we come back, we'll discuss smart credit card use." As the teens dispersed, Jennifer hurried to the center's security guard. "There's a man outside by the east window. He's the one I have a restraining order against." The guard immediately radioed for assistance and went to investigate, but Charles had already disappeared. That night, Jennifer called Maxwell on her way home. "He was at the center today," she said, "watching me." "I'm sending a car for you," Maxwell replied immediately. "No need. I'm already in a taxi." "But Maxwell, he knows where I work." He's getting bolder. "Stay at the main house tonight, not the guest house. We'll put additional security on the children's rooms." Just after midnight, alarms blared throughout Maxwell's property. Jennifer woke instantly, rushing to check on the children. They were safe in their rooms, with a security guard stationed in the hallway. "What's happening?" Tommy asked, appearing at his door. "Just a false alarm, probably," Jennifer said, hoping she was right. "Go back to bed." Downstairs, Maxwell was reviewing security footage with his head of security. "There," the security chief said, pointing at the screen. "Someone broke into the garage. The alarm scared him off, but we got clear footage." The video showed Charles Hartman using a tool to force open a side door to the garage. When the alarm sounded, he ran, looking directly at one of the cameras before disappearing into the night. "This is perfect," Maxwell said grimly, breaking and entering. "Clear violation of the restraining order. We've got him." The next morning, Agent Torres arrived to review the footage. "This gives us what we need," she confirmed. "I can get a federal arrest warrant today. We'll find him." Despite the threat, Jennifer kept her commitment to speak at a fundraising event for the community center that evening. Standing at the podium, she faced the crowded room with newfound confidence. "2 years ago, I lost everything to a con man," she began. "My business, my home, my savings. I believed I had lost my identity too, but I was wrong." The room was silent as Jennifer continued. "Our identities aren't in our bank accounts or job titles. They're in how we respond to adversity, how we rebuild after betrayal, how we teach our children to face the world with courage." In the back of the room, Maxwell listened proudly. His phone vibrated with an incoming text. He slipped out to read it. "Subject spotted at downtown bus station." The message from Agent Torres read, "Officers en route." Maxwell immediately texted back, "I'm on my way." Jennifer was still speaking when Maxwell quietly left the venue. He drove quickly to the downtown bus station, where police cars had gathered outside the main entrance. Agent Torres met him near the police line. "We think he's inside, possibly trying to leave the city." "Are you sure it's him?" Maxwell asked. "The station's security camera caught someone matching his description buying a ticket to Indianapolis 20 minutes ago." For the next hour, officers systematically searched the bus station, checking every waiting area, restroom, and shop. Finally, Agent Torres approached Maxwell looking frustrated. "It wasn't him," she said. "Just someone who looked similar. False alarm." Maxwell's phone rang. It was his head of security at home. "Sir, we have a situation. Charles Hartman just used a stolen credit card to purchase 3 tickets to the community center fundraiser. The name on the reservation is Parker Family." Maxwell froze. "Jennifer is still at that event, and he's headed there right now." "I need to get to that fundraiser now," Maxwell shouted, already running toward his car. Agent Torres spoke rapidly into her radio. "All units to the Westside Community Center. Suspect Charles Hartman may be present. Approach with caution. He should be considered dangerous." Maxwell's car sped through the Chicago streets. Agent Torres beside him making calls to coordinate FBI agents already in the area. "How did he get tickets?" Maxwell asked. "There was security at the entrance." "He's resourceful," Torres replied grimly. "And he likely has a disguise. He won't look like the photos we've been circulating." At the community center, Jennifer had just finished her speech. People were mingling, drinking champagne, and making donations. She stood near the stage, accepting congratulations from attendees. "Your story is so inspiring," a woman told her. "My sister went through something similar last year." Jennifer smiled. "Please have her contact our support group." No one should go through this alone. A waiter approached, offering champagne. "You look like you could use a drink after that speech." "Thank you," Jennifer said, taking a glass. She looked at the waiter more closely. Something about his voice seemed familiar, but his face was partially hidden by a cap pulled low over his eyes. The waiter leaned closer. "Hello, Jenny." Jennifer's blood froze. She knew that voice. "Charles," she whispered. He smiled, keeping his voice low. "Surprised to see me?" "You shouldn't be. You've made quite a spectacle of yourself lately." Jennifer tried to step away, but Charles gripped her wrist. "Don't make a scene," he warned. "Your children are here, aren't they? Tommy, Lisa, and little Mikey. Would be terrible if something happened to them." "My children aren't here," Jennifer said, her voice shaking. "No? Then why did I buy 3 tickets for the Parker family?" Charles's grip tightened. "We're going to walk outside calmly so we can talk. If you alert anyone, I'll find your children. You know I will." Terrified for her family, Jennifer nodded. "What do you want?" "Outside. Now." As Jennifer moved toward the exit with Charles close behind her, Maxwell's car screeched to a halt in front of the community center. He and Agent Torres ran inside. "Spread out," Torres instructed the FBI agents who had arrived. "Check every face, especially staff and servers." Maxwell scanned the crowd frantically looking for Jennifer. He spotted Sarah Williams and rushed over to her. "Where's Jennifer?" he demanded. Sarah looked surprised. "She was just here. I think she stepped out for some air maybe 5 minutes ago." "With anyone?" "A server was talking to her." "Why? What's wrong?" Maxwell didn't wait to answer. He ran toward the exit, signaling to Agent Torres. In the parking lot, Charles had Jennifer by the arm. walking her toward a car parked in the shadows. "You ruined everything," he hissed. "I had Eleanor Blackwell ready to sign everything over to me." $50 million, Jenny? Do you have any idea what you cost me? "You're a thief," Jennifer said, finding courage despite her fear. "You steal from women who trust you." Charles laughed bitterly. "I provide a service. I make lonely, successful women feel special, valued. In exchange, they support me. It's a fair arrangement until they get clingy or suspicious." He pulled a gun from his jacket pocket. "Get in the car." Jennifer froze at the sight of the weapon. "Charles, please, think about what you're doing." "I've thought about nothing else since your boyfriend ruined my life," Charles shouted, his charm evaporating. "Now get in the car or I swear I'll find those kids and let her go, Charles." Maxwell stood 20 feet away, his hands visible to show he wasn't armed. Charles pulled Jennifer closer, the gun pressed against her side. "Well, if it isn't the knight in shining armor. Come to save your damsel again?" "This doesn't need to end badly," Maxwell said calmly. "What do you want?" "Money? I have money." Charles looked interested. "How much money? Name a price. I can have cash within an hour." Jennifer caught Maxwell's eye. He was trying to distract Charles. She remembered the self-defense class she had taken at the community center. The instructor had taught them what to do if someone held a gun against them. "1 million, Charles said. "Cash. No tracking devices, no marked bills. You bring it here. Alone." "I need time to arrange it," Maxwell replied, taking a small step closer. "Stay back," Charles warned, tightening his grip on Jennifer. In that moment, Jennifer saw her chance. Charles was focused on Maxwell, his attention divided. She drove her elbow hard into Charles's stomach, exactly as she had been taught. Surprised and winded, his grip loosened. Jennifer twisted away, striking his wrist. The gun clattered to the ground. Jennifer ran toward Maxwell as shouts erupted around them. FBI agents emerged from hiding places around the parking lot, weapons drawn. "Federal agents! Drop your weapon! Hands up!" Surrounded and disarmed, Charles grabbed for Jennifer again, but she was already beyond his reach. "It's over, Hartman," Agent Torres called, approaching with her gun aimed steadily at him. "On your knees, hands behind your head." Charles, realizing he was trapped, pulled Jennifer back in front of him as a shield. "Back off," he shouted. "I'll break her neck. I swear I will." Maxwell watched in horror as Charles held Jennifer in a chokehold. Jennifer's eyes met Maxwell's, wide with fear but also determination. "Mr. Hartman," Agent Torres said calmly, "you're surrounded by 20 federal agents. There's no escape. Release Ms. Parker and we can talk about a deal." "What kind of deal?" Charles asked, his arms still tight around Jennifer's throat. As Torres kept Charles distracted with talk of reduced charges and cooperation, Jennifer made eye contact with Maxwell again. He gave her a slight nod, understanding her intention. Jennifer went limp suddenly, making her body heavy. As Charles adjusted his grip, she drove her heel down hard on his instep, then threw her head back, connecting with his nose. Charles howled in pain, releasing her. Jennifer broke free and ran. Agents swarmed in, tackling Charles to the ground. "You're under arrest for violation of restraining order, interstate fraud, breaking and entering, assault with a deadly weapon, and attempted kidnapping," Agent Torres recited as Charles was handcuffed. "You'll pay for this, Jenny," Charles shouted as agents dragged him toward a waiting vehicle. "This isn't over. You think you've won? I'll find you!" "I always find you." Jennifer stood trembling as paramedics approached to check her for injuries. Maxwell ran to her side. "Are you hurt? Did he hurt you?" Maxwell asked, his voice thick with concern. Jennifer shook her head, unable to speak yet. The paramedics led her to an ambulance to examine the bruises forming on her neck. "Mom!" 3 voices cried out in unison. Jennifer looked up to see Tommy, Lisa, and Mikey running toward her, followed by Sarah Williams. "The children were with me in the back office the whole time," Sarah explained quickly. "They were helping me sort donation envelopes. They're safe." Jennifer opened her arms and her children rushed into them. Maxwell joined them, creating a protective circle around the family. "Is the bad man gone?" Mikey asked. "Yes, sweetheart," Jennifer assured him, holding her children tightly. "The bad man is gone." Agent Torres approached after Charles had been taken away. "He'll face multiple federal charges," she explained. "With the evidence we have, plus the additional crimes he committed tonight, he's looking at decades in prison." "Will he stay there?" Jennifer asked. "He's escaped consequences before." "Not this time," Torres said confidently. "We have solid evidence of crimes across 5 states. He won't walk away from this." Later that night, after the children had fallen asleep at Maxwell's house, Jennifer sat in the kitchen, a mug of tea growing cold between her hands. "I can't believe it's over," she said quietly. Maxwell sat across from her. "How do you feel?" "Strange. For 2 years, Charles has been this shadow hanging over everything in my life. I've been running, hiding, ashamed. And now you're free," Maxwell finished. Jennifer nodded slowly. "When he had that gun against me, I was terrified. But I also felt something I haven't felt in years. Rage. Pure rage at what he took from me, from my children. That's when I knew I had to fight." "You were incredible," Maxwell said. "That move you used." "From the self-defense class at the center," Jennifer explained with a small smile. "I never thought I'd actually use it." Maxwell reached across the table and took her hand. "I was so afraid I'd lose you." The simple statement hung in the air between them, filled with unspoken meaning. "I still plan to move into that apartment," Jennifer said softly. "I need to know I can stand on my own." "I understand," Maxwell replied. "But I hope this doesn't mean we won't see each other anymore." Jennifer squeezed his hand. "I don't want that either." The next morning, Agent Torres returned with news that stunned them both. "We've been digging into Charles Hartman's past," she explained. "His financial crimes were just the beginning. We found evidence linking him to the suspicious death of an elderly woman in Florida 3 years ago, Dorothy Wilkins, age 78. She died of an apparent heart attack 2 days after changing her will to leave everything to her beloved fiancé, Charles." "He killed someone," Jennifer whispered, horrified. "We're reopening the investigation," Torres confirmed. "The medical examiner is reviewing the case. If the evidence supports it, Charles Hartman will be charged with murder." Jennifer sat frozen after Agent Torres's words about the murder investigation, her teacup halfway to her lips. "He might have killed someone," she whispered, setting down the cup with a shaking hand. "We'll know more soon," Agent Torres said. "Meanwhile, you should prepare for increased media attention. This case is about to get much bigger." Agent Torres's prediction proved correct. By the next morning, Charles Hartman's arrest was the lead story on every Chicago news station. National networks picked it up by noon. Notorious con man Charles Hartman was arrested last night after attempting to kidnap one of his former victims at gunpoint, a news anchor announced. The arrest came after weeks of public exposure led by survivor Jennifer Parker. Jennifer watched the coverage from Maxwell's living room, the children safely at school. "They're calling me a hero," she said, turning to Maxwell. "I don't feel like one." "You are," Maxwell insisted. "You stood up to him when many would have remained silent." The doorbell rang. Maxwell's security team had already called to alert them that FBI agents from the Florida field office had arrived. 2 agents introduced themselves in Maxwell's study. Agent Rodriguez was a serious-looking woman with dark hair pulled into a tight bun. Agent Peterson was an older man with kind eyes that contrasted with his stern expression. "Ms. Parker, we need to understand the details of your relationship with Charles Hartman," Agent Rodriguez began. "Particularly any violent tendencies you might have observed." For the next 3 hours, Jennifer relived her relationship with Charles, answering increasingly disturbing questions. Did he ever mention his past relationships? Did he show interest in elderly or vulnerable women? Did he have knowledge of medications or poisons? Did he ever discuss ways to make a death look natural? Maxwell sat beside Jennifer throughout the interview, offering silent support. When she faltered, struggling to recall painful memories, he gently touched her arm. "Take your time," he encouraged. "You're doing great." After the agents left, Jennifer was exhausted. "I never knew he was capable of murder. How did I miss that? How did I let someone so dangerous into my children's lives?" "You couldn't have known," Maxwell assured her. "Charles Hartman is a professional predator who has fooled dozens of intelligent women." More interviews followed in the coming days. Prosecutors from multiple states wanted statements. The media requested exclusive interviews. Through it all, Maxwell remained Jennifer's steady support. 1 week after Charles's arrest, Sarah Williams approached Jennifer at the community center. "The board has approved funding for a new victim advocacy program," Sarah announced. "Financial abuse survivors need specialized support. We want you to head it." Jennifer was stunned. "Me? But I just started as program director. Who better than someone who's lived it and fought back? Your story has inspired so many women to come forward. The center has received over 50 calls this week from women in similar situations." Jennifer accepted the new responsibility with a mixture of pride and determination. The program would offer legal advice, financial counseling, and emotional support to victims of financial abuse. As her professional life expanded, Jennifer continued with her plans to move into the apartment she had rented. The moving day was set for Saturday. The night before the move, Maxwell helped pack the few possessions they had accumulated. "The furniture will be delivered tomorrow afternoon," Maxwell said, sealing a box of kitchen items. He had been unusually quiet all evening. Tommy entered the room with his backpack filled with books. "I'm all packed. Can I bring my math books from the tutor?" "Of course," Jennifer smiled. "Those are yours to keep." Tommy nodded, then turned to Maxwell. "Will you still help me with algebra sometimes?" Maxwell's face softened. "Anytime you want. You have my number." Later, after the children were asleep, Jennifer found Maxwell in his study, staring out the window. "Thank you for everything," she said softly. "We wouldn't have survived without you." Maxwell turned, his expression unreadable. "You would have found a way. You're the strongest person I know. Still, you changed our lives. I don't know how to repay you." "I don't want repayment," Maxwell said. He hesitated. "I'll miss having you all here." The next day was busy with moving. Maxwell and Tommy carried boxes while Lisa organized her new bedroom and Mikey explored every corner of the apartment. "My own room!" Lisa exclaimed, twirling in the small space that would be hers and Mikey's. "I haven't had my own bed since forever." By evening, the apartment was taking shape. It wasn't luxurious, but it was clean, safe, and theirs. The furniture Maxwell had helped Jennifer select fit perfectly in the modest spaces. "It looks great," Maxwell said, standing awkwardly by the door. "You've made it home already." "Thank you for your help today," Jennifer said, equally awkward. Neither seemed to know how to say goodbye. "When will we see you again?" Mikey asked, tugging on Maxwell's sleeve. "Soon," Maxwell promised. "Maybe next weekend?" After one last hug from each child, Maxwell left. The apartment felt strangely empty without him. "Can we call Maxwell tomorrow?" Lisa asked as Jennifer tucked her into her new bed. "Let's give him some space," Jennifer suggested. "He's been very busy helping us." "But he likes us," Lisa insisted. "He told me so." That night, as Jennifer unpacked her bag, she found an envelope Maxwell must have slipped inside. Opening it, she discovered legal documents establishing college funds for Tommy, Lisa, and Mikey. Each account contained $20,000. Jennifer sat heavily on her bed, overwhelmed by the gesture. It was too much, far too generous. But she knew Maxwell wouldn't have done it to make her uncomfortable or create an obligation. He genuinely cared about her children's futures. The next morning, Jennifer dropped the children at school, then drove to Maxwell's office downtown. His assistant recognized her immediately. "Miss Parker, Mr. Grant didn't mention you were coming. It's a surprise visit. Is he available?" The assistant smiled. "For you?" "Always. Go right in." Maxwell looked up from his desk, surprise and pleasure crossing his face when he saw Jennifer. "Jennifer! Is everything okay? Did you need something for the apartment?" "I found your gift," Jennifer said, closing the door behind her. "The college funds." Maxwell looked slightly embarrassed. "I should have discussed it with you first. If it makes you uncomfortable, it's incredibly generous," Jennifer interrupted, "but I need to understand why you did it." Maxwell stood and walked around his desk. "Because your children deserve every opportunity. Because education changed my life. Because I care about their futures." He paused. "Because I care about you." Jennifer took a deep breath. "Maxwell, these past months have been confusing. You've been our rescuer, our protector, our friend. I'm grateful for everything, but I need to know where we stand now that we've moved out." "Where do you want us to stand?" Maxwell asked quietly. "I don't know," Jennifer admitted. "I've been focused on survival for so long. On keeping my children safe. On being independent again. I haven't allowed myself to think about other things." "Other things like relationships?" Maxwell suggested. Jennifer nodded. "My last relationship nearly destroyed me. I'm not sure I trust my judgment anymore." "I understand," Maxwell said. "But Jennifer, what happened with Charles wasn't your fault. He was a predator who targeted you specifically because you were successful and trusting." "I know that logically," Jennifer said, "but emotionally, it's harder." Maxwell moved closer. "What if we take things slowly? No pressure, just dinner sometimes, maybe a movie, see where it leads." For the first time in years, Jennifer allowed herself to consider the possibility of trusting someone again, not out of desperation or need, but from a position of strength and independence. "I'd like that," she said finally. "In fact, would you like to come to dinner at our new apartment tonight? Nothing fancy. The kids would love to see you." Maxwell smiled, his eyes lighting up. "I'd love that." Later that week, a certified letter arrived from the court. Jennifer opened it with trembling hands, fearing more legal complications. Instead, she found a check for $75,000 and a letter explaining it was her portion of restitution from Charles Hartman's seized assets. Additional payments would follow as more assets were liquidated. Jennifer stared at the check, tears filling her eyes. It wasn't everything she had lost, not even close, but it was enough to establish an emergency fund, enough to ensure she would never again be in a position where she couldn't feed her children or afford medicine when they were sick. Most importantly, it meant she could choose a relationship with Maxwell based on genuine feelings, not necessity or gratitude. When Maxwell arrived for dinner that evening, Jennifer showed him the check. "This changes everything," she said. "For the first time in years, I have a financial cushion." "Security." Maxwell took her hand. "I'm happy for you. You deserve this." "It also means," Jennifer continued, "that when I do this," she leaned forward and kissed him gently, "it's because I want to, not because I owe you anything." Maxwell wrapped his arms around her. "I never thought you did." From the hallway, 3 small faces peeked around the corner, watching with huge smiles as their mother embraced the man who had helped save their family. "Told you," Tommy whispered to his siblings. "They like each other." Tommy's prediction proved true. Over the following months, Jennifer and Maxwell's relationship blossomed naturally. Weekend dinners became regular outings. Maxwell taught the children to swim in the summer. Jennifer redesigned Maxwell's office again, this time as a professional with her own small business. 1 year passed since the cold December day when 3 hungry children had sold Christmas trees on a Chicago street corner. "I can't believe it's been a whole year," Jennifer said, adjusting a framed certificate on her office wall. The small space was in the back of the West Side Community Center, where she now directed the Financial Abuse Survivor Advocacy Program. Sarah Williams nodded. From selling Christmas trees to running a nationally recognized program, you've come far. The program had helped over 60 families in its first year. Jennifer had been featured in a documentary about financial abuse and now regularly spoke at conferences. The restitution money from Charles's case had allowed her to restart her interior design business, focusing on affordable renovations for single parents. "The conference in New York went well?" Sarah asked. "Very well," Jennifer replied. 5 more centers want to implement our program model. Later that afternoon, Jennifer visited her small design studio before picking up the children. Her assistant, Megan, was working on plans for their newest client. "Mrs. Johnson loves your design," Megan reported. "She said it's perfect for a single mom's budget." Jennifer smiled. "Good. Let's schedule the work for next month." At Tommy's school, Jennifer waited outside his classroom. His teacher, Mr. Barton, stopped to speak with her. "Tommy's math scores are exceptional," he said. "He's been advanced to the 8th grade curriculum even though he's only in 6th grade." "He works very hard," Jennifer said proudly. "He has natural talent," Mr. Barton replied, "the kind that earns scholarships." Lisa had continued with choir and started piano lessons after Maxwell discovered her musical talent. Jennifer arrived at the music school just as Lisa was finishing her practice. "Mom, did you hear me play?" Lisa asked, running to Jennifer. "I heard the end. It was beautiful." "Miss Rivera says I can perform in the spring recital," Lisa announced. "Can Maxwell come?" "Of course, if he's not traveling for work." Mikey, now 7 years old, had joined a soccer team. Jennifer watched from the sidelines as he chased the ball across the field. His coach had told her he had natural athletic ability and boundless energy. "Goal!" Mikey shouted as the ball hit the net. He looked immediately to Jennifer, waving excitedly. That evening, Maxwell joined them for dinner at their apartment, now comfortably furnished and decorated with Jennifer's design skills. "The children have so much news today," Jennifer told him as they prepared the meal together. "I have news too," Maxwell replied. The trial ended. Charles was sentenced this morning. Jennifer put down the spoon she was holding. "And?" "Life in prison without possibility of parole," Maxwell said. "The Florida murder case sealed it. They found evidence he tampered with Dorothy Wilkins' heart medication." Jennifer leaned against the counter, relief washing over her. "It's really over then." "Completely over," Maxwell confirmed. "And there's more. Remember the first victim we knew about? The case involving my mother?" Jennifer nodded. "That case was officially resolved today, too. Even though my mother is gone, the judge recognized her as a victim in the sentencing." Jennifer took Maxwell's hand. That would have meant a lot to her. "I think she somehow led me to you," Maxwell said softly. "To help you, when she couldn't be helped." The children burst into the kitchen then, surrounding Maxwell with hugs and questions about his day. Jennifer watched, her heart full at how naturally he had become part of their family. Later that week, Jennifer received a call from Eleanor Blackwell in Boston. "I wanted to thank you again," Eleanor said. "Not just for saving me from Charles, but for showing me how to use my experience to help others." Inspired by Jennifer, Eleanor had established a foundation to educate women about financial security and independence. "We're launching a scholarship program for children whose families have been affected by financial fraud," Eleanor explained. "I'd like to name the first scholarship after you." "That's incredibly generous," Jennifer said. "But perhaps you should name it after all survivors instead." Life settled into a comfortable pattern. Jennifer divided her time between the advocacy program and her design business. Maxwell delegated more of his work to spend time with Jennifer and the children. He became a regular volunteer at the community center, teaching financial literacy to teenagers. The week before Christmas, Jennifer organized a special fundraiser, a Christmas tree lot staffed by former victims of financial crimes, with proceeds going to the advocacy center. "It needs to be in the exact spot where the children and I were selling trees last year," Jennifer insisted to the event planners. "That's where our story began." On Christmas Eve, the lot was filled with people buying last-minute trees. Volunteers wore Santa hats and served hot chocolate. Jennifer moved through the crowd, greeting supporters and survivors alike. "Jennifer," Sarah called. "Channel 5 wants an interview about the fundraiser." As Jennifer spoke to the reporter, Maxwell gathered the children for a special mission. "Remember the plan?" he asked them. Tommy, Lisa, and Mikey nodded excitedly. "When Mom finishes her interview, Tommy, you say your line. Then Lisa and Mikey, you give her the box." The children had been keeping this secret for weeks, practicing their roles. After the interview, Maxwell guided Jennifer to a specific spot on the lot. "This is where we met," he said. "Right here, where Tommy asked me to buy your last Christmas tree." Jennifer nodded. "I remember. I was sitting on that bench over there, too weak to stand." Tommy stepped forward. "Mom, you haven't eaten in 2 days." Jennifer looked confused. "What?" "That's what I said to Maxwell last year," Tommy explained. "When I asked him to buy our tree, I said, 'Mom hasn't eaten in 2 days.'" Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, Tommy." Lisa and Mikey came forward holding a small box wrapped in red paper. "This is for you," Lisa said, "from all of us." "But mainly from Maxwell," Mikey added. Jennifer looked at Maxwell, who smiled nervously. "Open it," he encouraged. Inside the box was a simple but elegant diamond ring. Maxwell took her hands. "Jennifer, when Tommy spoke to me that day, I was rushing to a business dinner. I almost ignored him. If I had walked past, my life would have remained successful but empty." He knelt on one knee. "You and your amazing children filled my home with love, laughter, and purpose. I know our beginning was unusual, but I believe it led us exactly where we were meant to be. Will you marry me?" Jennifer was crying now. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will." The children cheered. Tommy pumped his fist in the air. Lisa clapped her hands. Mikey jumped up and down. "We're going to be a real family!" Mikey shouted. Maxwell stood and slipped the ring onto Jennifer's finger. "We already are a family," he said, embracing all 4 of them. That night in Jennifer's apartment, they decorated a small Christmas tree similar to the one they had tried to sell a year ago. Under it, Maxwell placed 2 special gifts: a framed photograph of Jennifer and her children at that first tree lot, and a newspaper clipping about Charles's sentencing. "From our darkest moment to our brightest," he said. As Jennifer placed the star on top of the tree, she looked around at her children's happy faces and at Maxwell, the man who had saved them by seeing their worth when they had nothing. "Did you ever think we'd be here?" Tommy asked her. "When we were selling trees last year?" Jennifer shook her head. "I was just trying to get through that day. I couldn't imagine a future then." "And now?" Maxwell asked, putting his arm around her. "Now I can see it clearly," Jennifer replied. "And it's beautiful." After the children went to bed, excited for Christmas morning, Jennifer opened her laptop. For months, she had been working on a special project during quiet evenings. Maxwell looked over her shoulder. "Your memoir?" Jennifer nodded. "I'm calling it The Last Christmas Tree. It's almost finished." On the screen was her dedication page. "To all those still struggling through their darkest moments, this truth sustained me. Sometimes the end of one dream is simply the beginning of a better one." And to Maxwell, Tommy, Lisa, and Mikey, who taught me that family isn't always what you're born with, but what you find when you need it most. As midnight approached on Christmas Eve with Maxwell dozing beside her on the couch, Jennifer typed the final words of her story, their story, that had begun with a small crooked Christmas tree and the courage of 3 hungry children who refused to give up hope. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen.